Hi everybody, and welcome to this beautiful sunny Monday morning. We're back with another Facebook Live with Bar Lake State Park. I'm Sarah Doxson with Bird Conservancy of the Rockies, and our theme this week is all about water. And today we are going to learn about a really cool bird that we can see at Bar Lake, especially during the summer, that you might be surprised to see there. So today we're going to be talking about the American white pelican. So in our field guide here, that gorgeous white bird. So like I mentioned, a lot of people are really shocked to see an American white pelican floating around the waters of Bar Lake State Park or any pond or lake here in Colorado. But they do hang out with us here during the summer, the spring, summer, and fall. And they are a coastal bird in the winter. So they'll go down and winter along. You can see where the blue is, the coasts of California and the Gulf of Mexico. So they do spend their winters down there on the coast. But as the weather gets warmer, they actually do come inland and spend their summers with us, which is really cool. And we can see hundreds and hundreds of American white pelicans at Bar Lake during the summer months. So let's see. Here we have the skull of an American white pelican, which is just so impressive. This is just the top part. So right here we can see this is where its brain cavity would be, its eye sockets, and then this is the top part of its beak. And then under here, of course, would be that iconic white, or the iconic kind of pouch. We call it a gular pouch. And that's what they're going to use to eat. So a lot of people think that pelicans will dive to catch their prey, and that's true of their cousin, the brown pelican. But what American white pelicans will do, they will be sitting on the water, and they will actually scoop their bill down in the water to get a beak full of water and fish, and then they'll tip their heads back. All of the water will drain out and they'll gulp down that fish all whole. So they'll eat things like fish, but they can also eat frogs, crayfish, those kinds of things as well. And something else that's really interesting is that they can actually feed cooperatively. So what they can do is they will all form this big semicircle and they'll spread out their wings and swim really quickly towards the shore and corral fish towards the shore so that it's easier for all of them, all of the pelicans, to go in and scoop up all of those fish and just have a feeding frenzy. Something else that's really interesting about the pelican is that it's one of the biggest birds in North America. So you might be familiar with the fact that the California condor is the biggest bird in North America. Its wingspan is about 9 feet. Well, our American white pelican, its wingspan can be about 8.5 feet. That's about 3 feet taller than I am. That is a big bird. And they can weigh around 15 to 20 pounds. So they're absolutely massive birds. But if you've ever seen one flying overhead, they're actually quite graceful flyers. And so let's look at our field guide again so we can get a look at what they look like. So they're of course called American white pelicans. They are mostly white, but they do have this black on their wingtips. And that looks really impressive in the sky. And actually, as they're flying in a flock, we call that a squadron because they kind of remind us of those B-52 airplanes as they're all flying around. And there's a really interesting reason that we think they have black on their wingtips, and that's to give them a bit more strength. So the black coloration helps to reinforce the strength of those feathers as they're flying. Because they are so big, they need that extra strength to fly so gracefully up in the sky. So they are birds that spend a lot of time on the water. They need some adaptations or things that help them survive in their habitat to let them be successful on lakes and ponds and in the ocean. So one thing is going to be their feet. Now this is from a duck, so a pelican foot would be much, much bigger, but you can see that there is this webbing in between their toes. So of course that's going to help them to be excellent swimmers, to be able to navigate around bodies of water, and to be able to chase after and catch fish. Another thing is about their feathers. Now this is a feather from a Canada goose, but it's also a bird that spends a lot of time on the water, so it has a similar adaptation, and that is that its feathers are waterproof. So all birds will have an oil coating to help keep their feathers clean and dry, but water birds have even more so that they can stay really dry and buoyant as they're spending time on the water. So we can, I'm gonna open my jar of water here, and if we look, I'm gonna drop some water. We're gonna see what happens as I drop water on the feather. You see that? There it goes. So we know if I were to drop water on my t-shirt, it would absorb, it would soak right in. But if that were to happen to birds that spend time on the water, they would be wet and heavy. It would be hard for them to take off and get away from predators. So this oil coating helps them to stay dry and warm and light so that they are able to be comfortable and survive in their water habitat. All right. So you might have been thinking, okay, this skull looks really, really cool, but what on earth is this giant lump on the beak? Is there something wrong with this pelican? What is happening? Well, that is supposed to be there. So if you are out at Barr Lake or anywhere else and you see a pelican that has this kind of plate on its bill, that means that it is a breeding adult. So the adults will grow this horn or plate on their bill as a signal that they're ready to breed. And then after they breed and have their chicks, that horn or plate will shed off, just kind of like a deer will shed its antlers in the fall. And bills are made of keratin. So that's the same thing that our hair and fingernails are made out of. So it's not painful for them. It just kind of falls off, and then another one will grow back the next year. It's pretty interesting. All right, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in again to Barr Lake State Park's Facebook Live. Be sure to check out Bird Conservancy's Facebook page for our daily nature challenges, and we'll see you back here tomorrow at 10 a.m. to learn more about the wonderful waters of Barr Lake State Park. Be safe, everyone.